Hello family. This is the first of a bunch of videos that I'm going to produce on the ancestry of the Evins, Bryan, and eventually Schuster families. So what I'm doing is producing this for all the family who might be interested in our ancestry. This means my kids, my cousins, my sisters, my mom, all of those people, grandkids, anyone who's interested in where it is that the Bryans and Evans and Schusters and Sharmans all came from. And so we're going to start today with ancestry and how I got into this and what it is that we can actually see and what it is that I actually know. So I remember that growing up, I didn't have anything written down on my family. So all I had was a few stories gathered here and there, generally at family reunions. Actually, the only thing I had written down on paper was probably sometime in the mid-1970s. We were at Buster's house. It was after Granddaddy had passed away, and Grandma was sitting there, and for some reason we got her talking about family history, and I grabbed the only piece of paper I could find, which was the back of an envelope, and I began writing. I wrote down Hayden, I wrote down the names of her mom and her dad, and some details about them, and then who their parents were, and other sisters. By the time I was done, I had maybe 8 or 10 names on the back of an envelope, and that was all I knew of our family tree. So fast forward from there, probably 40 years later. So a decade or so ago, my wife and I took an ancestry DNA test. So, which means you spit into a tube and you send it off to Ancestry, and they tell you the countries of your ancestors. They give you a percentage. So I know that I am approximately 50% English, I'm about 48% German or Germanic, and I'm about 2% Danish. But more than that, I know from which parent I got each of those genetics. And so several other people in our family have done it. Jennifer Fleming has done it. My sister Cherie has done it. Before he passed, Michael Evans did it. So there are others. I believe cousin Beverly has done it. So there are several places out there that we can compare ancestry. So, but once you have that, then I got interested in actually learning more about that. So I started in, and I discovered that through Ancestry.com, you can actually put together a family tree, and it's not difficult because what you're doing is you're piggybacking on the work that other people have done. If you start building your tree and you put in the few names that you know, then what will happen is Ancestry will pop up and say, hey, I think I've discovered the parent for this person. And you accept that, and then it'll say, hey, I found the parent for that person. The next thing you know, you have an Evans family tree that has 2,000 people in it, or a Bryan family tree that has somewhere approaching 900 people in it. So today I'm going to show you what I know about our family from Ancestry. I'm going to actually go onto the website and we're going to, I'll do screenshots to show you what we can actually see. If any of you are interested, I can give you access to view the family tree at no cost to you. And then I'm going to go into show you how it is that I went and built the tree. And then that'll be the end of this video. And then on the next video, I'm going to show you how the Evans family tree and the Bryan family tree came together with the two of them born in Texas and then later marrying in New Mexico. I'm going to show you how those go back to the same families 900 years earlier, 100 miles apart in England, in England. And then I'm going to show you more details The next video after that will probably be some of the fun people in the Evins family tree. After that will be some of the fun people in the Bryan family tree. Then I'm going to branch out and do my wife's family tree, which includes mostly Germans, but also Scandinavians, and some who were Germans came via Russia. So we'll go into that story, and we'll just see what you like. So let me know what you think. So if you don't like it, just turn it off. But anyway, I hope you enjoy it. Okay, so here we are on the Ancestry website, and I'm going to start with the information that Ancestry gleaned from the DNA test that I did many years ago. You can see that it says that my ancestry is 50% English. It looks like England is right here, but if you actually click on it, it says it could come from anywhere in this region, but mostly it is from England itself. Okay, or 48% of mine comes from Germany, which Germany includes places that bleed out in these areas. So most of Europe actually could be in that, but concentrated within the center section of Germany. And then the third one is from Denmark, and you can see Denmark also would include Netherlands and northern Germany. So this is what we knew when we first signed in, that I was about half English, almost half German or German Swiss, and just a touch of Danish in my background. And then a couple of years ago, Ancestry went a step further and said, here's how that breaks down by parent. So you can see from my mom, I got all of my English ancestry. From my biological dad, I got all of my German and Danish ancestry. So now let's compare this to other people. So here are other people in our family. So I am 50% English, 48% German, a little bit of Danish. My wife is more than half German, is 27% English, and has a smattering of Danish, Swedish, Netherlands, Scotland, Norway, Central Europe. Her map looks incredibly complicated, covers all of Europe, but still, we're both 100% European. My sister Shri is 80% English and about 11% Scottish, so almost all of her ancestry comes from the British Isles. A little bit of Swedish, a little bit of German, and a little bit from Cornwall, which is also part of the United Kingdom. Jennifer, on the other hand, has a little more German, a lot more Scottish, so she is mostly English and Scottish. So that gives comparison. So those are the kinds of things you can know, and then they tell you some weird things, like within your family. If you go to mine, you can go to the journeys that this family has taken. And so how they came into the United States and where they settled and some of the history of those kinds of things, I'm not going to go into those. So, but what I am going to do is I'm going to go to family trees. So I'll show you how this works. I'm going to go right now to the Bryan family tree, and I'm going to start down here with Dad, Kenneth Ray. So you can see how this works. Here's Kenneth Ray, and then if you go up here, this is his dad and his mom, and on the two sides of them, each of their parents, and then it breaks out further and further. When I first started doing the family tree, I started putting in brothers and sisters who would be relative to our family, cousins or uncles, and finally I decided that I'm just going to focus on the direct descendants. So everybody who is on the screen that you see here are either grandparents, great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents. You're a direct descendant of one of these. Now what I've done is picked this line right here, Calvin Garrison, to go back. And I'm going to move my way across the screen, because you can see, if you go far enough back, what happens. When you first go on to the site and you put in somebody's name and you come back the next day, it'll say, oh, you have a person here named Daniel Doan. Well, I know the parent of Daniel Doan. Daniel was born in 1666. His father was born in 1636. Mother 1646. And so, do you want to add them to your tree? All you do is click on it, say review the details, and it will tell you, you can check to see that they match, the part of the country, and everything looks good. This is what someone else has in their family tree, where they've already documented this is Daniel Doan's parent. This is, okay, we're in 1600s now, so obviously I don't have any personal information of that. So you can say, oh yes, I think that's the right person, and now it adds them. Then you say, okay, and I also think that's the mom. Now, you can see in a matter of a couple of minutes I've added people to the family. You can also see these green arrows mean there's other people here who are already ready to be added. And more people down here. Now, go down other parts of the tree. If you go down the next line down, here's two more. If you go the next line down, here's, I don't know, half a dozen more. You go the next line down. So this is why I say that in the Evins family tree, I have 2,000 people in the family tree. The Bryan family tree isn't filled out yet, because I have not gone through all of these. In a diligent night, I can add 50 people to the family tree. So, but I have not yet done that, and I try and make sure that the names make sense. I try and make sure that the dates make sense. Most people are pretty accurate in what they do, but you try and make sure things, make sure that people are doing what they should do. Now, there's several ways that you can look at this. So if I go back to Kenneth Ray and I say, this is not the way most people think of a family tree. They normally think of a family tree as going this way, vertical. So you can display it that way. So here's Kenneth R's parents. Actually, this is Karen's parents. I have Karen down here. And here's Kenneth Ray and mom. And then here are Ken and this is Kenneth's parents and brothers and sisters, and then from there I start going through each line. Now, you'll notice all these little green leaves at the top of these. So we go back, so this would be Kenneth Ray's grandfather right here, Abner. If I click on Abner, and I say there's 7 hints about him. So this shows Abner, where Abner showed up in a census in 1920 and 1900. This would show like whether he could read or write, how many grandkids he had, where he lived. So it will show a birthplace, a residence, spouse, children, all of those things. Here's a birth certificate. They're helpful. So you can see there's just your World War draft card. So there's all sorts of things that you can glean from these. I have gone down some of those trails and developed some of those things, which have been just fascinating to me. Like, for example, I know how Abner wound up in White Flat, how he came from Texas, and so it's a fascinating story. But you can see there are 7 for him. If I go back just to the family tree again and just view the tree, look how many of these little green things are, and every one of them has many, many things that you could go look up. You could spend your life going through this. So what some people have done is, as you come across them, they've saved pictures. So here's a picture of Tillman Peter Harcrow, for example. Sadie's, what would this be? Sadie's grandparents. And and then if you click any of these, it keeps building the tree up and building the tree up. So if you want to follow the Bryan name, just follow the father. So it starts Kenneth Ray, Elihu, Abner, Aaron, William Joel, back to James, back to Joel, all the way up. So here's where somebody put in, this is the one who came to the United States. They'll put, sometimes people put in coats of arms, indicating where they're from, etc. Mary indicates I haven't filled in her whole family yet. So you can go all the way back. So we've gotten back to, it's generally pretty easy to get back to about 15 or 1600s. Earlier than 1500s, you need a family history where someone has actually built out, someone in times past, in the 1800s maybe, has researched their entire family history and put it together in a book, because it's too hard to put those together because right around 1440, when the printing press came into being, before that, the records just get too scarce. But I can take, this guy is we're going to have him in a later story. He is the black sheep of the family right there. So it keeps going back. And the oldest one I have in the Bryan family tree is Sir Thomas Bryan. If you click on it, he's the Chief Justice of the Court of Common Pleas in England. So those are the family trees, and then and how I've developed it and how we get the names that we have. So as I load these out, it will also say, okay, here's the gallery. So here are pictures that people have saved for members of the family, or stories about the family, or places about they lived. This is the guy who's the black sheep of the family. So here are pictures of various people. This is an interesting lady. So it's fascinating what you can learn. So what I can tell you about both the Bryan and the Evins family is that they have a rich history in England. And no, we're not directly related to any kings that I can find to put in our family tree. We have cousins who were queens, but we have no direct descendants who were kings. But we do have a fascinating story, and on both sides of the family, we have someone who's researched the family line back further than 1500, and I can actually take it back to Magna Carta-ish era, and so which is 1215. So this is what is on Ancestry. This is what I've been working on, and I've been putting together videos. So next time what I'm going to do is I'm going to start into the Bryan and Evins family tree and trace them from England to the United States, and how they wound up working their way across the country, and both wound up in Texas. And so I'm going to show that in the next line. Then I'm going to go more in depth to the Evins family tree. I'm going to go more in depth to the Bryan family tree, and we'll go from there. So I hope you enjoy it, and I hope this helps. So again, if anybody wants access to this, what I can do is I go to out here, I can say invite family. So if any of you are interested in the Bryan family, I have invited one person to be able to view this tree. I can invite other people. If you will send me an email address, I can have you invited to be able to view anything in this family tree. You can see anything in the tree that I just showed you. And so, and if I go to the Evins family tree, for example, here's another way you can view it, by the way. You can say, I want to view it fan style. So this is from me. I've just filled out my mom's side of the family. So here's my mom, here's her parents, here's their parents, and so this is my mom, grandparents, great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents. So let's go back to so let me show you in the Bryan family tree. Here is Kenneth Ray. So this is Kenneth Ray and his parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents. And you can show how you can take any person in the tree, put them in the center, and go there from them. So you can work your way out. So you can have anything that's 4 generations back from any person in the tree if you want to see it. So anyway, I hope this helps. I hope you can see how this is interesting. And let me know what you think. Let me know what you want to know. And let me know if you want to see the tree. And stay tuned for the next one. Bye, everybody.